Hi, I'm Yuri Nikolsky, and in this video, we are going to figure out what is DICOM. I think that anyone that has ever worked with medical imaging has come across at least images in DICOM, and I think that's the most common misconception. People say, oh, DICOM's my images, and that's not wrong. It just is very limited if that's the entirety of understanding. So let's figure out what it is. And to do that, let's first figure out what it's not. So is DICOM just images? No, it's not just images. It certainly has a format that we use for image exchange, but it's not just that. Is it software? No, DICOM's not software at all. So then what is DICOM? Well, the idea is very simple. DICOM is actually a set of rules that equipment, very important here is the term equipment, that we use in the domain of medical imaging follows. The idea is very simple. If all types of equipment that works with medical images follows the same rules, no matter who the manufacturer of that equipment is, then any piece of that equipment can have a predictable outcome in the way that images can be generated, in the way that images can be exchanged. And that means that we can pair up a CT from GE Healthcare with PACS from Sectra, with a workstation from Canon, whatever, you name it. Doesn't really matter. And that is because all of those devices can understand each other. And the reason for that is because they speak the same language. And that language, yes, that is DICOM. So that's the important thing about it. DICOM covers all aspects of imaging, from its very inception to the very terminal stage, because even the display of images is still governed by DICOM. So that's very important to understand. DICOM is a set of rules. Now, those rules are very broad and they apply to a wide variety of things that fall under the domain of medical imaging. And that means that different pieces of equipment, depending on what they are, will what we call conform, and I probably shouldn't be doing air quotations because it actually is the correct term, conform with what we call DICOM standard. Now let's figure out, why do we call it a standard? Well, it's because it's a standard for data exchange, right? That goes back to that original idea that if devices are able to communicate with each other, and if you watch the video on PACS, you remember how complicated the word communication can be, and it's present in the definition of DICOM as well, right? If you didn't know, DICOM stands for Digital Imaging and Communications in Medicine. And again, same story as it is with anything with imaging informatics. Very confusing when you first hear it, but as you analyze this, it starts to make more and more sense. Digital imaging, so it gives us the format for actual digital images, both the file type and even the correct way to display it. But it also has to do with communication. Obviously, not communication as in, two people talking to each other. It's a standard for equipment. So it would be one piece of equipment communicating with another piece of equipment, right? How do they communicate? Well, they generally don't talk much, they just exchange data. So that's the idea with DICOM. It's a set of rules. It's a set of rules that tells us how to create a file, how to connect two devices, how to have those two devices talk to each other, if you will, so that they can understand each other. And based on that, once that is in place, then we have what's called interoperability. It's a very important term in imaging informatics. Interoperability. It means that device that can be made by just about any manufacturer, as long as it follows the standard in the way that it operates, in the way that it produces the what we call objects in DICOM, which is effectively files, then its behavior and its output can easily be understood by any other device that follows the same standard. Again, we can compare it to human language. It's less sophisticated than a human language. We as humans, we have the aspect of emotions, the aspect of beauty. It doesn't really exist in the world of machines, but the basic premise actually remains to be the same. If we all speak the same language, we can understand each other. It's not a problem. But if you get a bunch of people who all speak, their own language, communication is going to be problematic, to put it mildly. Same exact story applies to machines. And like I said, it's just the communication itself is a bit simplified. They don't have too many topics for conversations, but that's the whole idea with DICOM. It gives us a set of rules that machines can follow, standardized set of rules, right? So they're always the same, at least supposed to be always the same. And if those devices follow those rules in the way that they connect to each other, in the way that they generate images, then everything can understand one another. And that is exactly the reason why you're able to buy a GE scanner and connect it to a Sector Pax and connect it to a Canon workstation. Doesn't matter, as long as they all operate under the umbrella of DICOM. Thanks for watching, subscribe for more videos, and see you at the next video.